Hey guys, it's the 1st of July, which means we're on to the first of the month, so another Google Hangout. This month I wanted to talk to you guys about NEAT, N-E-A-T, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. But before I start, these Google Hangouts is an opportunity for you to find out a little bit more about what's happening in the industry, pass on my knowledge to you guys. But it's also an opportunity for you to raise any topics that you want me to talk about, or maybe if you've got any queries or questions about something that you've seen out in the media with regards to training and nutrition. It's a good opportunity for us to then, I can look into it, and then we have the opportunity to discuss it as well. So if there's anything that you want to talk about in these Google Hangouts, please just drop me a message and let me know, and I will definitely put something together for it. But yeah, back to this month. A few weeks ago, I spent a weekend with some of the biggest names in the industry in relation to evidence-based research on training and nutrition. And one of the things that was brought up and discussed was NEAT, and how a lot of the time people assume they have a fast or slow metabolism, but in actual fact, you don't really have a fast or slow metabolism. It's actually a decrease in NEAT levels, and what NEAT does, it's energy expenditure that's not related to eating, sleeping, or any exercise or sport related activity. So it's basically everything else that you do that expends energy, things down from walking to blinking to fidgeting, mowing the lawn, sweeping the yard, doing the housework, all that sort of stuff. So if you're somebody that struggles to put weight on or put muscle on, the high chances are that you've got a very high NEAT levels. You'll probably fidget a little bit more than everybody else, or you always have to be doing something. Your NEAT levels will be a lot higher than maybe somebody that doesn't struggle to put weight on. NEAT is actually also quite interesting in the fact that your body is always trying to get itself back to homeostasis. So sometimes doing more in the gym isn't always the way to get you results, because if you give 110% to a training session first thing in the morning, then it actually just wipes you. Your body tries to deal with that in a way that actually makes you a little bit lazy for the rest of the day. It stops you doing all the other things that you would have expended energy for, because you gave so much into that training session. And most of the time, it does this without you even realizing it. I know I've had training programs where I've just been so tired from it that I've come home and slept for an hour or 2 hours. That's an hour or 2 hours I would have otherwise been awake, moving around and expelling energy. So NEAT plays a particular role in your fat loss goal, in that you don't have a slow metabolism, you've just got a decrease in NEAT levels. And as I said, it's not a case of doing more training, because that could be counterproductive, but just actually being aware of what you're doing outside of your training. So real easy ways that you can increase your NEAT: walk more, so walk to work. A good one is if you work in an office and you're sat down for 7 or 8 hours a day, on the hour, every hour, go and walk around the building for 5 minutes. That will accumulate over the day to 30-40 minutes of walking. If you put that over the week, your NEAT levels will drastically increase. A lot of us now have cleaners, dishwashers, dog walkers, whatever. Do those things or do those chores yourself. That again will increase your NEAT levels. And these things are not just one-off items that you do, sporadically. They have to be something that you do regularly, on a regular basis, every day or every week. You'll sweep the yard, you'll empty the dishwasher, you'll walk to work, you'll walk or park your car further away from your destination, so you have further to walk to your destination. All those things increase your NEAT levels. If you're somebody that struggles to put on weight or put on muscle, pay attention to what you are doing outside of your training to try and reduce your NEAT levels, so you can conserve some energy. A really good way of tracking that is a Fitbit or something that monitors how many steps you do. And this is a really interesting way to track it over or accumulate over a week. I was sick last week and I was pretty much horizontal for 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours. And all I kept thinking of was, wow, how much energy would I have expelled during this day without, when I wasn't sick? What would I have been doing? I would have been up since 5 o'clock. I would have been at the gym. I would have been loading barbells, stripping barbells, taking sessions. I would have trained myself. I would have walked around. And what I did that day when I was sick was get up, walk to the car, drive to the doctor's, come home, and then was horizontal. So I'm pretty sure I didn't really expel much energy on that day. So in terms of how you eat, you also need to be aware that on those days, if you are sick or you're not moving as much as you normally would, you obviously can't eat as much as you would have. And if that goes on for a few days, then those extra calories will add up. That's when I would like you to get in touch with me. I can obviously adapt your macros if you are sick or you're not training or you're not moving around as much as you normally would be, because that will impact the food that I give you and the calories that you burn. So this is why it's really important when you check in with me at your weekly check-ins that you let me know how your week has gone. Have you been less active than normal? Have you been sick? Have you not done as much? If you're a trainer, and I've got a couple of trainers, if you guys haven't done as many sessions as you would have normally, if you spent more time sat down than you have stood up, because your macros are based off your activity levels as well. So if you're not as active as you normally would be, that will play an impact on your results for that week. Going back to metabolism and slow and fast metabolism, that's actually just a myth. It really is just low or high NEAT levels. So next time you hear someone saying, oh, you've just got a really fast metabolism, you've just got a really low, slow metabolism, you can actually say, well, no, I'm actually just probably a little bit more active than you, or my NEAT levels are low. Something that came out of the weekend with the guys, and it was I think it was Alan Aragon that brought this one up, was, or was it James? It was talking about the Biggest Loser contestants. Now, the Biggest Loser contestants lose a lot of weight in such a short space of time, doing crazy amounts of exercise and very, very, very controlled calorie-restricted diets. But one thing that came up, and I've sort of called it the Biggest Loser effect, in the studies that they've done and they've published on some contestants over a number of years post the Biggest Loser, all of these contestants had a decrease in NEAT levels and basically how to continue to maintain their current weight or continue to lose weight. They had to continually eat less because their NEAT levels had decreased so much. If you look at that in comparison to a normal person who hadn't lost a lot of weight, two people that are the same weight, two females that are 70 kilos, one has been at 100 kilos, so she's lost 30, one that has never lost that amount of weight, she's at 70 kilos. Those two people, even if their characteristics were 100% identical, the one that had been previously overweight or obese would actually have a lot lower NEAT level than the person that hadn't. And that's pretty much the Biggest Loser effect. And I think the takeaway home from that is really it's very hard to continue to maintain that weight loss and continue to drop that weight loss. So don't ever get to that point where it gets that difficult, because you have to continually eat less and less and less. You're never going to be able to bring your NEAT levels up or to your metabolism to a place where you're going to be able to enjoy a lot of food. You're going to continue to have to drop your calories to be able to hold that. And that's because your body has got super efficient. It's just decreased your NEAT levels to a point where it's like, no more. So why is NEAT important in terms of your fat loss goals? Obviously, if you're doing everything right, you're doing all your training and you're tracking your macros and you're not getting the results you want, your weight's not shifting, your measurements are not shifting, we have to look at what are you doing outside of your training? What are you doing, how's the rest of your life? Do you give 110% in that training session, and for the rest of the day you sit down, you don't move, or are you training so hard that you actually your body's saying, I need to deal with that, and dropping your NEAT levels. So if that is the case, the best thing we can do is get a Fitbit or some way that we can track how active you are throughout the day, how many steps you're taking, and then start to increase that. It's not always a case of decreasing macros and increasing exercise. We've got to look at some other things. So how can you increase your NEAT? Which I spoke about was walk more, walk to work, park further away from your destination, sweep the yard, do the dishes, do your own housework if you've got a cleaner, and track it. Make sure it's done over a weekly or a daily basis, not something that you're just doing sporadically throughout the the month or whatever. But it's really important to keep track and know how active you are, because as I said, sometimes it's not even, you're not even aware that your body's doing that. It's something that it just does to deal with the exercise that you did in the morning or whatever it was, to get your body back to homeostasis. So it's very clever. Sometimes you're not aware. So we just need to bring ourselves, I guess, more aware to how we feel and how we move throughout the day. Keep track of it, keep a record, so that we're able to change something. We're able to monitor it and change it. So yeah, that's my short and sweet discussion on NEAT. Just want to see if there's anybody around that's got any questions before I click off. And if you missed any of that, or you just wanted a little bit more information, I did write a blog about NEAT, and you can find that on my Facebook page, or if you want to go to trainlivelove.blogspot.com.au, all my blogs are on there as well. So if you want to go check out any more of the information that I've put out there, that's on there. Let me just see. Any questions? I missed anything? No. Okay, cool. Short and sweet this month. As I said, if you've got anything you want to, if you want me to bring up in our next monthly Google Hangouts, just drop me a message in the forum, or put it on your check-in every week. And I will continue to bring you the latest in evidence-based research on training and nutrition.